This like this.
There it is. There it is.
It was open.
I'm waiting. I watched the whole freaking game outside.
What are you watching on, Anto?
Oh my God! I'm watching on Paramount Plus, Nick. Look at these jerks. They playing. I'm watching the game on Paramount Plus, and those jerks are playing billiardino.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Serie A audio experience with IFTV. A weekend of drama, as we should put it. We're not here for we've saved this podcast because a lot's been happening. We had the Derby della Madonnina on one side. We had Champions League, and then we had this round of Serie A. So we're going to recap everything this weekend. Antonio, how have you been feeling?
So good. I feel good. No, like that song, I feel good. You know, so I feel very well. I said I predict AC Milan is going to do well. I think I'm going to just prove it down the line that we are the team to beat because we are the Campione d'Italia, number one. And I think the team is starting to get on the flow of putting the numbers on the boards and on the field at the same time. So our coaching staff is starting to getting everybody involved and challenging everybody on the team, including the bench sitters, to let them know that you belong over here, but you have to show it. Every time that you've been called, you have to do your job. So we're not like Inter, where Inzaghi just keeps making subs and screws everything up, and this jerky over here is laughing too. I think you should be crying because the way you've been playing like shit. Okay?
Salzburg probably feels good for you guys too.
So
it's early on in the
It's
season,
early.
so this time
It's early.
For Sampdoria, it wasn't like this dominating performance. Granted, there was a red card, but
we scored 10 against 11
okay, on a penalty.
on a penalty. What does that mean? A goal is a goal. How did you score, by the way?
I'm not saying
On
otherwise.
a dirty touch.
Dirty
on the
touch.
97 minute.
90th,
90th.
89th minute.
I think you should be ashamed of yourself.
I don't think
Anto,
so.
let me let's set the record because we're talking about a few games. Are you happy with so far? Are you maybe a little bit surprised at how good your team, how Milan has started? Because the derby was extremely impressive for me. The thing that I noticed was that even when Inter went up 1-0, Milan, and especially Pioli, the credit goes to Pioli in my opinion, always keeps his team in the game. That's the theme. Even against Sampdoria, when you went a man down, granted it's Sampdoria, but you're always in a match. The team never wants to give up. There's this feeling about them.
I do. I'll tell you the reasons why. It's actually even better when we go down early in the game because the motivation of the team is so high that going down 1-0 for us doesn't mean anything. It's actually an extra motivation. The team was doing very well before we got scored on, but this team here, it's 1 year older for some of the players. We got the Catalara, we got another 2-3 players that they're gonna be paying high dividend for us. A lot of them are unknown in Europe, and myself included. I didn't know the last guy that came in to play as a defender. It's a spectacular guy. We have a lot of options available to ourselves. And I'll tell you what, the derby is like you just said it. The derby, I don't think AC Milan overdid anything. They just let Leao play his game. I think it's more of instead of ever to praise Milan, I will say I think the blame goes to the defense of Inter because Leao does that to everybody. But I think the defense of Inter with those 3 big guns of here, they were caught flat-footed and they were not doing their job. Those are 3 top of the line defenders that we're talking 70 million for one, another 50 million for another one, and Bastoni is probably another 100 millions. You guys have to come down to reality. Those are not expensive players. The same way they leaked, Juventus did an excellent job getting rid of this guy here. Look what he's been doing on the Bundesliga.
He looked pretty good against Inter.
Well, I know, but again, it's not the names what makes the team, it's the game and the quality and the intensity. You guys do not have the intensity that you're supposed to have. The names are there, the recognition is there, but into the field, you're not showing it.
He does make a good point because if we talk about one side of Milan that's filled with confidence, that has this intensity, this never die feeling in the first 6 games of the season, on the other side, your team, which again, I'll say going into this, most people, the bookies had them as favorites. A lot of us here had them as favorites. Of course, it's just the start of the season. But what is this lack of intensity, this lack of concentration, and even the question marks around Inzaghi already? Guys, no one brings you closer to Serie A than OneFootball. They are sponsoring this episode because they have digital video moments that are now available. We told you last time that they were not available yet. You had to be on a waiting list. Now they are. They are linked in our description below.
This is going to be amazing, Marco. There's going to be present, future, and of course past incredible Serie A moments that you can now buy, sell, purchase, trade. Once you own it, it's yours. And there's so many amazing moments that we could possibly get. I know we're going to do a pack opening one of these days to do it.
We're going to challenge each other and see who gets a better one. I want Leao dribbling past all those Inter defenders. I was there live in person, and to be able to own it, I think would be amazing. I would never trade that one, though.
I mean, the goal that Dybala just scored against Empoli, oh my God, outside the box. I wouldn't be mad if I got that one, that's for sure.
But you guys know, our name is Italian Football TV. We try to bring you all content and anything that is related to Serie A, and OneFootball is doing that. If you've watched any Serie A this weekend, you even see their ads all over the place on the billboards. Guys, the link is in the description down below. Go and get your digital video moments thanks to OneFootball. Now, let's return to the show.
I think it really comes off of the season that we had last year, where Inter kind of faded later in the season and then kind of picked themselves up again, but then also had that lapse of concentration with the Radu goal, and we ended up losing out on the Scudetto. So I think a lot of that has to deal with
Radu goal lost you the Scudetto.
Let me explain.
Let
me explain.
Go ahead.
So no, I already said there was a drop for Inter.
But don't blame Radu. Don't blame Radu.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that last season, the way that it ended was, I think, a real psychological effect on this Inter team. Now, moving forward, right, we have this Inter team that in a second year under Inzaghi should be a well-oiled machine. And we're not there yet. I know you mentioned it numerous times on Paramount and on the IFTV that Inter look physically not at their prime. So I'm okay with the loss to Milan. Obviously, I'm not saying the way the game played out that you lose that game, but you're allowed to lose to Milan. You're allowed to lose to Bayern Monaco, right? Bayern Munich. The way that we lost is the issue with me. And that is the problem that I see, because it's a mix of, like you said, the intensity, where you see the Milan goals was a lack of, intensity, concentration, whatever the case might be. There were goals that were very much avoidable.
But it's your same defense.
Okay,
it's pretty much your same defense. So why are they not playing well?
I mean, it's not, sometimes they're humans at the end of the day. So the same way that you could have an off day, you're allowed to have an off day. You're allowed to have a bad period.
It's more than an off day.
That's a bad period. It's a bad week or so for the Inter's defense. And what's happening also, what I saw was we're allowing too many chances, allowing too many goals. And that's where the problem is. That's why when I saw the Torino, and Handanovic really came up in that game. He made 4 or 5 saves that really were spectacular. But the important thing is, at the end of the day, you end up not letting in a goal. I liked a 1-0 result versus Torino, who are very tough to play against. Very tough.
And you deserve the 1-0.
It's not about deserving. It's about what you leave at the end of the day. Okay. So we were able to grind that out. So that, like I said, is when you're talking about a psychological problem, to win that game in the 89th minute at 1-0 is a big sigh of relief. To lose that game would have really destroyed Inter's rhythm, and we don't have any rhythm. Would have really put us in a hole.
Mike, I have a question for you. So you brought up physicality. I spoke to Dzeko and I asked him about physicality. He said it's absolutely out of the question. He said physically they're there. They're just like last year. He rolls that out. Mike, what do you think is the issue between the start of the season? Do you think it's physical? Do you think it's concentration? Do you think it's just Inzaghi's decision making, the way he's handled his team? What do you make of it?
I mean, in the beginning of the season, as a few of us predicted to Inter to win it, I feel like they're not completely in the match. When I saw them against Milan, even when they scored, I just feel like Milan had more eagerness about them. Like they wanted to win more. They seem more of a team. They seem more of a unit. They seem like they die for one another. And for Inter, I just feel like they're not all in it. And to be honest, I was thinking about what it could be. Yeah, Lukaku wasn't playing, he's out and stuff like that. I don't know if it's Inzaghi not instilling that mentality that was maybe lacking from Conte, bro. I think it could be that, but I don't know. I'm trying to find the real reason why they don't really look like they should be dying for the Derby della Madonnina. Because it should be revenge of how they lost the Scudetto to Milan. And instead, Milan just stepped on their throats and showed, listen, the Scudetto's ours and we're going to fight for it again. And I was really surprised and amazed from what Milan did because I thought Inter was going to win that game. And I have a little bit more respect for Milan in terms of, wow, they're proving me wrong. I put them in third, but they're not playing like a third place team. They're playing like they could do it again.
You know what's one thing I noticed? Totally agree with that because I had the same feeling as well about the lack of desire and the lack of real understanding where I saw that from Milan. The thing that I noticed that really struck me with Inzaghi, and I really liked Inzaghi last year. I'll say this. Every time he's been criticized, I've kind of pushed back on it. Because I'm a lover of some of those touches that he does. Because there are times when Inter are playing and it's beautiful to watch. You've got the right wing back who will lay it back to the center midfielders, overlapping runs, center midfielders who get involved. But the thing that I've noticed that is his Achilles heel, he reads the game so damn poorly. And I can't believe how bad he is at that. And that for me is what won the derby. Because Pioli's the opposite. What I'll start with Inzaghi. I watch him every single game. I watch him against Bayern Munich. And he's got Inter start the second half in a great fashion. They start with intensity. They start with rhythm. 58th minute, they're still going at them. I feel like they could get back into the match. But there's a little bit of dip in terms of some of the players on the field physically. Like they look tired. A sub is needed. At least a sub is needed. And he's waiting. He's got three guys on the sideline. He had Barella. He had Darmian. And who's the third player that ended up coming in?
DiMarco?
Might have been DiMarco on the sideline, all waiting. 58th minute, they're there, ready to come in. The assistants are trying to push them to go in. Wait,
extra 10 minutes.
Wait. And the team is dying. It's so evident to everyone. All the fans are upset around me saying that they need a sub. He keeps waiting. And what happens? He waits until the 66th minute whenever Bayern Munich score the second goal. And once Bayern Munich scores the second goal, I'm sorry, but the game is over. You needed to put them in at 1-0. That's a lack of intuition and feeling.
Bravo, you said the right thing. I think sometimes Inzaghi, what I see is that he overthinks a lot about the game. And you could even see that within his selections of players. Like versus Bayern Munich, even if you had a dismal game versus Milan, your starting three center backs are Bastoni, De Vrij, Skriniar.
Not D'Ambrosio.
Not D'Ambrosio.
Bravo.
Okay? Barella, who is a spark for this team, you have to have him very much involved in the project. He's got to be the future captain. And to not even have him play that game is such a disaster, I think, on his behalf. And obviously, once it was 2-0, he had
him ready to come in.
He knew already that this game was over.
He swapped
to save him.
I saw that.
Okay, but let me just finish. So it's not so much that he doesn't know how to read the game. I think what he does is, unfortunately, he relies too much on these statistics, because we already discussed it about yellow cards. Whenever some player has a yellow card, those are usually the first subs to make. So you have to read the game based on the game itself. The players are responsible enough when they have a yellow card that they can maintain it. The chances of them getting a second red are higher, yes, but you can't blame it all on probability. Also, if you look at the Milan game, starting Correa was a big problem in this Milan game because we were never able to hold up the play. So in the style of Inzaghi, Dzeko is a perfect starting player to come in. And I have to say, even in the Milan game, like the subs that he made came out. I mean, I'm not saying that he was a genius, because those are the players that you had to bring in. You had to bring in Mkhitaryan, you had to bring in Dzeko. But the subs came in and they performed, versus Lecce. He put on 4 freaking strikers. He put on what he can to get that goal in the last minute. So I'm not saying that they're lacking that desire to win or that hungerness, because versus Torino, they won last minute. Versus Lecce, I just think that they're still chugging away and they haven't hit the stride yet. And that's a problem in the duration of the season, because guess what? You're Inter. If you have the team to win, you have to play as if you're Inter every single game. That's
Peter,
what.
listen,
Yeah.
you
to,
said
keep,
about-
to keep on the same
Yeah.
topic before we move on the other side of that spectrum, the guy who is the complete opposite of that for me is Pioli, and I want to see if you agree with this and get your take. Do you think Pioli's greatest strength is exactly the opposite of what I just said? He reads the game so well. His man management has been brilliant. It takes a lot of courage. In a few games ago, he took out Leao. The next match, Leao's running. Every player that he puts in, it seems like he's gotten the rotation well, where even the guys on the bench, because you see them from there, they're all dying for each other. They're all on the same page. Do you think that's the best thing that Pioli's brought to this Milan side?
Absolutely. The group is what makes the team a winner. So everybody's cheering each other up. You see Ibrahimovic over there. Ibrahimovic is cheering from the bench. And Ibrahimovic wants to see everybody sitting on the bench. Just go after. Anytime somebody scores on AC Milan, you see the whole bench clearing and they're going on the top of the player. Now, to go back to what you were saying before, Inter is not this well-oiled machine. Maybe you need to change oil. You have to go from regular oil
That's what I'm saying.
to
We're
extra
not.
virgin oil, because your oil is not that good. Okay, Pete. Now, going back to Inzaghi. Inzaghi, I think he feels a lot of pressure that it's all outside. Now, all of these rumors of Inter being on the market is going to have to be sold and all the stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So a lot of players on the verge of being transferred, not transferred, he's going to stay, oh, he wants too much money. It's a lot of stuff that is getting some of those top-of-the-line players a little bit off, offline. So,
That's
so
fair.
you as a coach, and I don't know who's Inzaghi, I don't know who's helping him, assisting, they're not doing their job. You need a psychological guy to just get over there. You know, a psychiatrist to go over there and say, guys, don't worry about all the market rumors.
Like Conte.
This is our team, and this is, you've been paid here to play, not to follow the Gazzetta and all the rumors around. If something happens, we're gonna let you know. But just clear yourself of all the garbage surrounding the markets and on the news, and you just perform right here. Forget about it. Unfortunately, those news cannot be cleared that as easy as we think. And the rumors are that Inter is going to be sold, and that's affecting, to me, it's affecting Inzaghi, and it's affecting some of the.
I'm sure
some of
there's
Inter's
some
best
sort of
player.
effect. And like I said, this Inter team, Inzaghi as a leader still has to prove so much, because even with his Lazio team, they've had always they fall during the end of the season, middle of the season. So we have to see what Inzaghi has and what he's able to, if he's able to inspire his team. But we cannot make this a drama. I mean, this is still early in the season. The games that Inter have lost have been versus respectable opponents and are allowed to lose. What I dislike, but like I said, is the approach to the game, how you lose the game, and then, like I said, some overthinking. Like even the Lazio game that Inter lost, now that we're going back, you put Gagliardini in because you have to match the physicality of Milinkovic-Savic. Gagliardini, with all due respect, can't even shine Milinkovic-Savic's shoes, okay? So
Oh my
you gotta-
God.
I'm
How can I
sorry, you
listen?
might want to cut that. I don't know if you
No,
want
we're
to
not
cut that.
cutting.
No, don't
But-
cut it.
That's fair.
Okay, you
Everyone
cannot.
would agree with
you
that.
cannot have him start the game when you have players that are much better than him, and you just want to match the physicality of the game. So, those overthinking moments are what created Inzaghi's, or what has created Inzaghi's demise, and the fact that head-to-head versus the top teams, the start of the season, his record is not good, and it needs to change.
Last thing before we move on, if this trend continued, if let's say you still see these kind of feelings of lack of intensity, but Inter will finish in second place, do you think that it will be time for them to look for another coach if he doesn't win the league this year and doesn't go out of the group in Champions League? In your
Well, the
opinion,
group in
just you.
Champions League is already
Yeah.
is a tough group, so I don't think his fate will be determined by that.
But
it
second
will be
place.
second place. I think they will look at it. Depends on who wins it. That's what I really feel. Depends on who wins it. But I think if he doesn't win this year, he's gonna go.
To go from two teams who didn't perform in Europe, let's switch to the team that brought me so much joy. I didn't watch the game live. I ended up rewatching the entire thing
They said yours was the
afterwards.
wrong place.
I know. Wow. Napoli against Liverpool. not to say that I'm surprised that Napoli beat Liverpool, because I thought that they could beat them, but I didn't think that they would beat them in the manner that they did. And I think 4-1 scoreline kind of only does favors to Liverpool, if anything. Mike, I know you watch this game live. I saw your messages coming through the entire time.
Yeah.
You seem like you really enjoyed this match. What did you make of it? What did you think? And I mean, just go take it.
It was incredible.
Take it away.
Aludo didn't want to come. I told him to come to the studio for this one, but he's so superstitious, so we just kept messaging each other back and
the
forth.
studio's good luck for him. Why?
I don't know. For some matches, he has to stay home. He was like, listen, he calls me Manolas, by the way. I think he thinks that's my government name, so he calls me that all the time. He was like, I got to stay at my house, wear my scarf, and wear the cornicello around in my hand.
Fair enough.
Just because it's a big match. But Anto was over here, and oh my God, Napoli played so well.
I forgot one thing. I forgot that we have to make. I got to make espresso before you start going on this. Since I didn't watch the game, I'll let you guys take this
Okay.
away. Espresso,
Siag.
espresso,
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, so Anto was here. I think it was just me and Anto here, right?
Yeah. Like always, Mike.
Yeah, like the best friends, right?
Me, I quit my job just to watch the game, and especially, I'm cheering up for my cousins over here for Inter. I leave everything just to watch Inter
And your
play.
Southern brothers, right?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Napoli.
That's
of
what's
course.
up. But watching the game, I was like, this is going to be a tough game. They could do it. Liverpool hasn't been playing the best recently, and Napoli's been pretty on form. I was like, this is going to be a great match. Oh my God. Pretty much from start to finish, it was like men versus boys for the most part. I was scared because when they had the second penalty and they missed it, I was just like, oh my, that's going to come back and bite them in the ass, isn't it? I was so annoyed. I was like, why didn't Zielinski take that one? I was so pissed about that. But regardless, they didn't drop a beat after that. They ended up scoring 4. I think they could have scored 6 or 7. They missed so many opportunities.
Easily.
They made Liverpool look like a Serie A side. I'm not even kidding. They played so Anguissa, incredible.
Yeah.
Zielinski, the whole team played so good.
I was at a local soccer bar in New York because I had my cousin from Charlotte.
Which one?
Legends.
So
I
that's
met
an
some-
AC Milan club,
That's an
but
AC
it's
Milan
at a
club.
local.
There's a
Say
few.
it, at a local soccer club. You were at the AC Milan club.
I was at the AC
next
Milan.
time, let me know because I'm gonna tell them not to let you in.
Why would you tell them
Age
that?
before
He's our
beauty,
friend.
Anto.
Yeah.
But I was at the Legends Club. I actually ran into a couple of IFTV fans. But I was with my cousin. He's a big Napoli fan. He lives in Charlotte now. And so he was excited about the game. Let's see what happens. And we had both screams. So I was watching a little bit of both. So Napoli, like I said, from start to finish, dominating performance. Made Liverpool's defense look like shambles.
Yeah.
In shambles. Just Osimhen, before getting out injured, was running.
He was running circles around everyone.
And even I can't say his name. Kvara is
Carasveglia.
Carasveglia. That guy is
beast.
legit. And the attitude of and the approach of the game, talking about the approach of the game, was amazing. And then listen, the goal comes in and then everything else kind of piles onto it. So I'm really happy about Napoli. Finally, a European game that I guess a Serie A fan can be proud of. Mm-hmm. You're able to lose, but lose respectfully. And then when you win, it's even more sweet.
Anto, what you think of that?
Listen,
Were you surprised at all or no?
No, Mike. Like you said it before. I mean, if after the game the score would have been Napoli 7, Liverpool 2 or 1,
Nobody would be fair.
Nobody would be actually saying, "Oh wow." So the game was way overwhelmed for Liverpool. They couldn't
handle them.
They couldn't handle anybody. I mean, Napoli was going through like butter.
Literally.
Like those people, they did not exist on the field. Those are all top names. Again, the intensity from Liverpool was not there. They were totally lost.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Maradona Stadium that got them all messed up. But I gotta tell you something. That stadium does a lot of tricks for some of those.
You
best
waited
teams.
for me.
By the way,
the
Siag,
coffee from Napoli.
Oh yeah,
Siag. Guys, if you want to buy Siag, the link is in the description.
Yeah, but can we
Very
check
good
it,
coffee.
if the cream,
they are
guys,
sponsors
can you
of our
see the cream
podcast
inside?
for this year. Antonio,
Can
they
you show
believe
the
you.
cream?
They believe you. They believe you, Anto.
Okay.
If you want
actually, I
it,
can see the
link
cream from here.
is in the description. Coffee from Napoli, sponsors of Palermo. If Sicily and Napoli approves of your coffee, then the rest of the world can.
Oh, by the
Safe
way,
to say.
after the coffee, you're supposed to be washing your taste with.
Oh, you're supposed to have it before.
some-
You don't wash
no,
the taste of coffee.
After.
No, before
Yeah, it's
the
before.
palate. It's a wash
Before.
of
My
palate.
son said that after the coffee, you're supposed to.
No, it's
rinse
before.
your
It's
mouth.
Nah, but-
Otherwise, you're going to stain your teeth.
It's your
And
rinse
by
of
the way,
palate to
Oh,
taste
because
it.
he's
we
a
are
dentist.
looking for a water sponsor. Anybody's welcome, okay? We need a
Not
water
anybody.
sponsor.
We can't just take anybody.
It's going to have to be a good one.
It's gotta
okay?
be purified.
Purified.
Clean
It's gonna
water.
be top of it. It's going to be a sport water.
No bleach.
Sport
We need
water.
a sport water, okay?
right.
All right.
Hit us
Can
up.
I say something about Napoli?
Go ahead.
What I loved about Napoli, number one, on the fact that they played against a team like Liverpool, which I know is not going through a good moment, but was in the final last year, European champions just a few years before, was similar to what you said. The reason why I love Napoli so much and the way that they performed was not because they had one player who was unbelievable and who scored a goal. What I loved about them is that Spalletti understands that the team is the most important thing, that every single player needs to complement each other. And when you watch that midfield of Napoli and you see Lobotka and Anguissa and Zielinski, individually, one-on-one, you want to compare them with Liverpool? Okay, maybe you can't. Maybe you can't compare them name for name. But when they play together, they make each other better. Yeah. The team makes them better. Look at Kim. This guy Kim, nobody knew who he was last year. Look at the performance that he made. Even Rahmani a few years ago playing for Hellas Verona. But guess what? When you put all these guys together, when you have a coach who has the right idea, the right mentality, who doesn't go into a game with fear, with, oh my God, we're playing against Liverpool. No. We play our game no matter who we go up against. Kvaratskhelia, my gosh. I'm so happy that he did that against a
How
team
much
like
did they
Liverpool.
spend for that, by the way?
10 million.
Hello?
What are you asking me? What about Milan?
No, I'm asking you.
Why didn't you spend 10 million?
Well, listen, we was not on our radar, but you guys have nothing but big names on the radar, on your radar, okay?
Let's not take away from the point.
Right.
That is the strength of Napoli, their scouting system, in not needing to just buy big players. They buy guys that perform. Kvaratskhelia was sensational. And then even a guy like Gio Simeone, who
You're kidding
you
me.
take
Nice
off
story.
Osimhen. For most teams, losing your star striker, your number 9, who if he stayed on, I'm sure he would have scored a goal because he was getting opportunities. Simeone comes on, scores within a few minutes of coming on. That is the great management of Napoli in the way that they put a team together. Then, of course, we got to say it, but he had the beautiful story with his tattoo. He had the Champions League ball since he was 13. He kissed it. Great job for him. Great job for Napoli. They made me so freaking proud, and now they need to continue on this. They have a real chance at finishing first place in their group. This season overall has gone so well for Napoli. They're doing great job, and they need to continue on this path because guess what? The rest of the world, they're starting to realize the style of Napoli, and we love to see it. So good job by Napoli to represent Serie A, because the other teams in Champions League, unfortunately, they couldn't come through. Nobody else could come through except
Guys,
them.
look, Serie A. We're not even the dust of Liverpool. We beat Liverpool 4-1. When I'm saying we, it means Serie A won. We are one of the top league. If it's not the top league, still in Europe.
But the rest of
I
our
mean, it
teams
was
need to
one-
perform.
it was
All right,
one out of
speak about
four.
Juventus.
It was
It's
one
okay.
out of
What about Milan?
Milan couldn't beat
That's
Salzburg.
Cosa ha
okay.
fatto?
It was just an antipasto for us, okay?
Yeah, well,
that
you
was
didn't
an
digest it well.
antipasto. Take it easy.
didn't digest it
the
well. You
beginning
didn't
of the
digest evil.
seasons. Now you're gonna watch the next game, okay? So I'll tell you to pick up on what you just said, and I'll finish up right there.
Let's stay on Napoli.
Napoli's strength this year. It's not just on the starting lineup. It's on the bench and it's on the group. They have a group of players that they like each other and they complement each other. Whether they are on the field or whether they're sitting
Why are you
on the
screaming?
bench.
Easy. Your mic
Because
is right there.
You don't have
The
it on
caffeine's
Inter.
hitting hard.
You don't have it
Oh,
on
me,
Inter.
I'm gonna go
You
Inter.
don't have it. I'm sorry, my friend.
All right, question for the group. I say this with a
know what
with a
you're
weird
gonna say.
taste in my mouth because sometimes Napoli, they get us excited, right? They start seasons well. They started last season extremely well, and in history, a lot of times they start to dip off. Mentality-wise, lack of a squad, lack of a deep roster, whatever. Do you guys think that this team, because of Spalletti, who has shown himself to be really good with the group, because of the deep roster that they have, these interchanging players, also the lack of, maybe there's not a prima donna within the squad that you feel like is trying to steal all the spotlight or needs all the spotlight. Do you think that this Napoli can really achieve something special this season
Can
and
I answer
win?
this one? I
Please.
had Napoli at a top 4, and I realized how foolish I was. Now looking back, I think the big reason that Napoli fell off last season out of the Scudetto race was they were missing a player who didn't step up to the play, like Insigne, who now Guevara has more goals already than him in open play and everything, and he's been performing. I think if they had someone like Insigne, if they had someone like Guevara last season that stepped up, or if they had Insigne that stepped up to the play, I think they could have went to the final match day with Milan and Inter for the Scudetto.
So are you saying they're going to do that this year?
I'm saying
Was that your
it's
way of
looking
saying that?
good. I'm kind of hinting at it. I don't want to jump the gun, but if they keep this up, I think it's gonna go down to the final.
I'm
Anto?
gonna throw something on the table. A couple of podcasts ago, we were just discussing about leadership role inside of the team. Right now, Napoli does not have a leader per se, okay? Because Insigne was the leader before. Now
Koulibaly,
Insigne is
yeah.
gone. Koulibaly is gone. So Napoli, he found himself with no leaders and on first place. So is this leadership role now switched to the bench and Spalletti, or the team itself?
Kind of collective, I would say. I know Di Lorenzo wears the captain's armband,
I
and
don't
he's
think
done
so.
really
Di
good.
I
Lorenzo's
think it's
a
an
leader.
overall thing,
But I
though.
think it's more so like the collective. It's kind of like not being, I feel like sometimes it's not being reliant on just needing to look to someone else to step up. It's like, hey, all of us, some new guys, some guys that have been together for a little while,
Right.
we all need to work
So
for
no,
each
the
other.
leadership is on the group. It's the group itself. I said, hey, going in and out on every game. I said, guys, they get into an order that I said, we're going to get the job done. Let's get it done. So let's not wait for Insigne to say, okay, do this. No, it's everybody together.
They motivate
Intensity,
themselves.
motivation, it's right there before you start it. The all 95 minutes, they put it on the floor.
Pete, your family is from the Napoli region. This is kind of like your second team almost, right? The
Well,
team
that should be your
My
first
mom,
team,
my
by
mom,
the way.
my
your
mom's
mom's
side.
side.
That should be your first team,
What
by
do,
the
what do
way.
you make of that? Do you think that they can go all the way? Do they have the mentality for this
If you
year?
ask any Neapolitan, and we know already Ludo, they're
He's
gonna-
like this.
they're-
He's like this
they're
the
gonna-
entire
they're
time we're
Why is
talking
it
about.
Ludo
They're
here?
gonna say no. I think squad-wise, they have a team that can play versus anybody within Serie A. They have, like Antonio referred, a great bench, great players to come on that can change the game. The only thing that I see, there's two question, marks for me is one, Spalletti. Can he bring a team to win by himself? I know he's won in the past in Zenit, but that was his only real opportunity to win. And then the second is there's nobody on this team that has won anywhere. So that is a very vital part in a recipe to win. You need to have experience, but not experience 10 years playing. You need somebody that's a winner and a champion. Milan have those players. Giroud, Ibrahimovic. These are guys that the younger players are going to look up to. So you need that mix. You always need a mix of players that have won
Interesting.
and a young guy.
Always?
So that's always.
Well, what if there's an odd case that
Odd case could be the leader that you have. That's why I said Spalletti for me is not that guy that's going to bring a team to the promised land by himself. He's not a Moses.
I don't think you need a
Wow.
Those are high
You
standards.
did
Who
not
is
talk like
one?
this about Spalletti
Why
when he
you
was
shouting?
Inter coach.
Hold on.
All of a sudden, Spalletti is not one of
No,
those.
I like Spalletti.
Oh, you like Spalletti.
I think he's a great coach. I disagree with what you say that he's not a good coach. I think he's a great coach. He has his ways. They're not maybe the best ways, but he's going to get a lot out of his teams. But by himself, can he bring a team to win a championship? So far, he hasn't proven that to me.
In a
But
top
that
league.
doesn't mean that he can't do it.
He never had the tools to, though, P.
Okay.
I think
Come on,
Spalletti
we gotta be honest with
Spalletti's an
ourselves.
Inzaghi without hair.
Relax.
Spalletti's Inzaghi without hair.
Potentially, yes.
But
Potentially,
P,
yes.
With Inter's project, he was never destined to win the Scudetto. He was
No,
there to
I know
make a
that.
top four, keep us
But
stable.
what he said, but it
You know
is
what
a
I'm
fair
saying?
point because that is
I
what
get it,
we'll
but it's
talk
a little
about with
harsh how he's
Spalletti.
saying.
I'm
It is a
no,
little
but
harsh. I say.
okay, it's not. It's harsh, not harsh. The thing is, until you've done it, you're not.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get
Okay,
it. I
sure.
get
Pioli.
that.
He's on fire. Pioli is on fire, Paisa.
That's true.
Okay?
Okay, but last
Before he
year,
never won, yeah.
for me, Pioli was not the coach that's gonna bring Milan to win.
Yeah.
He's done it. he deserves the mention. He is a qualified coach to do it again if he has to.
And
he
he's
has the
got a
mix.
Scudetto on his arm.
Yes.
He's going to go change from 19 to 20, and he's going to have a
Why don't you just
star.
get another one?
No, he's going to change it. You already spoke with the tattoo maker. He said, just, can you erase that?
I was in the
That's
group
what he's gonna
chat.
do.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm on the group chat with Pioli, by the way.
So that's how I see it. So for me, Spalletti on his own is not enough. Can he prove me wrong? By all means.
You brought up Juventus, that they were one of the teams that couldn't compete, that couldn't win in Champions League. Let's talk about Juventus as a whole. We'll talk about Champions League a little bit, season, and then of course the match against Salernitana. For the game against PSG, I got to be honest, I was probably one of the ones that wasn't as disappointed. I thought that Juventus was actually better than I was expecting. Now, is that because of the standards that they had set? Is that because the team didn't look that bad, especially in the second half? I mean, the first 2 goals that they scored, all right, the 2 Martians were at it. They scored goals that I don't know any defense that would be able to stop them. Could Paredes, could Rabiot have stepped up? Defenders have stepped up. Bremer dropped back a little bit? Yeah. But those are goals that, for me, they're ones that I could swallow. I watch that and I say, my gosh, my hat's off to you, because that was phenomenal from Mbappe and Neymar. Unbelievable. Nobody's going to stop that. I thought in the second half, Juventus gave a reaction. I thought Paredes had a really good match. I think they're still lacking in a lot of departments. And I think you're never going to beat PSG without some of your world-class players. So for me, I thought that when they need to step up, losing 2-1, of course you never want to accept losing.
Mm-hmm.
Losing, you get 0 points no matter what. You're never going to be happy. But all things considered, I thought Juventus was going to make it 2-2 and make it a tie at one point.
I feel like they had to react though, right, Marco? And I do feel like Juve are the type of team to play up to the opponent, so I wasn't too surprised, especially because Mbappe and Neymar had a couple more chances that if they buried, it could have looked more of an uglier defeat.
Yeah, but if
they
Milik
didn't.
buried his chance.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's why Juve
can't
were
do
still back and forth with it. And if Juve did have their players too, where they're still pretty heavily injured for the most part, it could have very well been a closer game. And merited, it is the first Champions League game playing the toughest opponent so far for Juventus. So 2-1 I don't think is that bad. I could have saw a few more goals and I could have seen it worse for sure.
I saw to pick up on what you guys are just saying. You know, we were talking about it, AC Milan before, just coming from behind, coming from, a 1-0 deficit. Same thing, I think Juventus is another kind of a team that is very capable of making up to a deficit, even though the game against Salernitana got close to put themselves over the top. But again, against PSG, Juventus played 2 different games. The first half, they were just waiting for PSG. The second half, because they had to, they're starting to play a different style of soccer. So you cannot really just change style because of a necessity. So the team has to be put on the field just to play an attacking or a wait and see style. Juventus is always playing a contingency game. In the first half, let's wait and see and let's go into counter attack. You get 2 goals behind your goalkeeper. Then I said, okay, guys, everything is changing now. Now we have to push everybody up. I think this is not the kind of a Juventus that you wanted to see. Okay, so going back to Allegri has to put inside of the head of those guys that you have to play one style of soccer, attacking or just aggressive, intense soccer, and not wait and see. Not just coming back when you have a deficit and now we have to just run. Juventus doesn't double anybody. They don't go for stealing the ball. Look the way AC Milan plays, man, and look at the way the Napoli play. I'll tell you what, I'm so impressed with the Napoli. On a non-possession, they attack the ball handler and they take the ball away. You have to just play an intensity 95 minutes. Juventus does not have it right now.
So you made 2 amazing points. Sorry, I'll let you go too. But you made 2 points that I want to pick up on. The second one, which you just mentioned now, is the intensity. Because I think for sure, that's one thing, because you want to compare Napoli's squad and Liverpool's squad, and everyone will say Liverpool's the better team. And when you lack in the talent department, and this is just my reasoning for Allegri, if he wants to complain about his players being injured, or people want to say that he can't do that because his players are injured, my point is that Juventus don't have a real game plan. There's not the correct idea. The feeling of everyone knowing where they need to be to make up for that lack of quality that's there. There's no system. There's no understanding of this is how Juventus plays every single week, which is the problem and which is why Napoli is doing so well. To build off of that, what you said, perfect. Allegri built his legacy, in my opinion, off of having a very defensive mindset and defending first. And guess what? He did that really well. His teams used to always defend. They're closed down. They'll be tight. They'll break on the counterattack, and they'll be able to score. My question is, when Juventus and when Allegri doesn't have that defense, when you're conceding 2 goals to Salernitana, you're conceding goals for fun against everybody else, the fullbacks, I don't know what they're doing, but then you can't even attack well, then what is left? What does Allegri really bring to Juventus is kind of my question. Is he only relying on those world-class players of Di Maria, Chiesa to hopefully come back, and then that's the salvation? I don't know.
Allegri relies on individuals to perform. If he does not have these individuals, he's not going to be able to win anything. He has created this low block. He can, quote unquote, read a game, if you want to say, but every time he always looks to make a defensive substitution or a way to be able to get the result. That is the thinking of a manager from 25, 30 years ago. You know, where you want to save that 1-0 result or be able to. But the difference between, for example, Conte and him, Conte has a style. You might not like him, but you can see or you can identify Conte's style and the way that the Conte team plays, right? Whereas with Allegri, it really comes down to counterattack and the individual brilliance of his players. And that's the only time that Juventus will go on and win. And they'll win the majority of their games because of their caliber of their players. But it won't be because of Allegri and his reading of the game or Allegri and what he's been able to do. For me, Allegri has been lucky throughout his career where with Milan, he had a spectacular team when they went on to win the Scudetto with real champions. And then with Juventus, you had Conte's work and then that Juventus team had a lot of top players, okay? And their opposition were far, far below that team. So you have that mix, and that's a perfect recipe for success. Now, it comes back to Juventus where they wanted to create that stability with the team, and there's a big issue because now this team is not only boring, but they can't get those 1-0 results. They do not have the players to be able to resolve a game on its on their own. The only player that maybe would have been able to do that is Ronaldo, and Ronaldo from 5 years ago, not the Ronaldo that we have now. So there's a lot of issues on this Juventus team. You got to just, I guess, be realistic and say, hey, these are going to be a couple of years where we have to figure it out. But Juventus management have made mistakes these past 3 or 4 years where you changed coaches numerous times. That's not a healthy organization. Then the players that you select now, you said it over and over again. It's a team built to win now. It's not a team to win going forward. And that is, I think, really comes down to Juventus organization not knowing exactly what is needed or what they want. Whereas obviously, you're Juventus. You have to go in it that you're going to win every year, but you should have a project in mind. And with Allegri, for me, there is no project.
On top of Conte having a style, which I totally agree with, and Allegri not having the style, you know what the biggest thing that I see that's kind of the most glaring concern that I have is that you don't see any player improve under Allegri. Conte's teams, you see lower players who with less talent, because they're in a system, because they value the team, they become better. With Allegri's teams, you see players kind of go the opposite way. You don't see anyone excel. You don't see anyone do better because nobody is working for each other. No one is helping each other out when they make mistakes. When Cuadrado makes an individual mistake, the team is not built so that they help each other out. And for me, that's the biggest thing. The one thing we have to give Allegri credit for, the one thing I will give Allegri credit for, because I don't hate Allegri. I don't think that he was the right person for the right time at Juventus. I think he's a good coach for a specific time and for a specific team. I do give him credit because he is often hated for this, for playing Miretti in these last 2 games. I give him credit because that took a lot of courage and he's always had this mindset of the younger players make mistakes. But guess what? He put Miretti in a tough game. And for me, Miretti, I don't care if you make mistakes. For me, it's fine that you know, he's 19 years old. Let the kid make mistakes. But he's got the right idea. He sees the game well. He makes a lot of things correctly. Let this kid improve in a team. Give him the consistency, because guess what? He looks a lot better than some of the other players that are in the same starting position for him.
Let me pick up on that very quickly, and then Mike, you go. I think what everybody's missing over here is that, yes, to Allegri's credit, they put Miretti and Fagioli and a couple other young kids inside the last game. But what's missing on this equation is that Serie A has caught up big time to the big 3 or 4 teams. Before it was Inter, Milan, Lazio, Roma. That's it. Juventus. That's it. Now you have all of those middle of the range team. They have to caught up in terms of players, in terms of talent. Salernitana. We have Udinese. We have Verona. We have a lot of those teams. They caught up. So they watch the video and they have a lot of talented coaches. Those coaches, they're not waiting and see. They don't go to Torino hoping for a tie.
Well said.
Nicola, he didn't go in Torino hoping for a tie because he knew it. I said, if I just wait and see, we're going to get crashed. Nicola, instead of waiting for Juventus to take the game to them, he took the game to Juventus. He's starting to attack Juventus. Nicola, on any given time, he had 3 or 4 players on Juventus midfield, constantly pressing the ball from the defense all the way to the top. Nicola played a perfect game.
Yeah. And did you hear what he said after the game?
What?
He said, I don't see this as a point earned. I see this as 2 points lost.
They lost 2 points for me. They lost 2 points.
That is the... I mean, when...
Am I right or wrong, Mike? We watched the game together, Mike.
I mean, Juventus probably thought the other way around also.
Oh, no, Mike,
well, let's vote one thing at a time. We'll get to the VAR situation. But that's... And for me, when I hear Davide and Nicola say that, in the last years, when Juventus were winning these 9 Scudetti, when did you ever hear a coach from a team, Salernitana, that was seconds away from going to Serie B, to have this kind of mentality and to have this kind of belief playing against Juventus, and not just playing against Juventus in Torino? That is something that you didn't see very often. That's a mistake for Juventus as well, because they used to insert their dominance to not give any of these guys a chance. But it's also credit to the great coaching that we do have in these lower teams, and we'll talk about Sotil after. But yes, I agree with you. Salernitana, absolutely, to be winning 2-0, brilliant from them, because they had the right idea, they had the right feeling, the right mindset. Mike, sorry, your thoughts on the game, and then we'll talk about the VAR situation.
I mean, Salernitana really gave Juventus a game, and everyone was in shock with what happened, because this is a team that's fighting to stay up, and they did not look like a team fighting to stay up. They looked like a team that wanted more today, and that's what they did. And Juventus had to react, obviously. They were down 2-0, and they ended up tying the game. And just when you thought Juventus won it at the death, that's when one of the big controversy of the weekend came.
Don't go there yet.
Don't go there.
Not yet, because I have one other...
you want to keep going with this?
Let's finish off the real football talk.
I have one more point to make.
Can I ask you guys a question? I want to ask you a question. I'll ask you this question. Who's a top player on Juventus? The Juventus 11. Who would you say is top player? And not that you need top players to win against Salernitana. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just asking specifically. That 11, who is top? Just give me the list.
Dusan's on top.
Is there anyone else that you would consider top player?
Not on his level. He'd probably sit alone other than the second tiers for Juve.
Do you
personally
put Bonucci?
No more.
Anyone? Do you put anyone else in top level on that Juventus?
I don't see it.
No, not
I just
top.
don't.
And don't comment. No Chiesa, no Pogba.
No,
we're not talking about that.
I don't see it.
I'm talking about the 11 that was on the field, because that's the thing that stood out for me.
On the starting 11, no,
and that's starting 11, right?
Yeah.
They are good players, but not top players.
Okay. Yeah. No, because I tweeted out that Dusan is the only one, and people were saying Bremer, people were saying Bonucci. For me, Bremer, he's a good player.
He's good. I wouldn't put him on the same level.
He still has to show himself.
But
they're not top. Prove himself,
For me, Dusan is the only one on that team that I watch him, and I'm like, my gosh, Juventus is honestly... I feel bad for him at times because the team does not play for him at all. The guy hustles. There was one time he scored on offsides because Moise Kean took so long to pass the damn ball, and he still scored like an incredible
I think
shot.
it's incredible how Dusan's still doing good considering how Allegri plays, and he's still managing to get these goals where it would be where you'd understand if he's not scoring, you'd be like, oh, look how they're playing. That's why
Because
he's
they're
not
from
scoring.
open play. He's got to earn the free kick and then
But
score a
he's
free
very
kick to be able
clinical
to
in
score.
that. If you talk, if we see it like that, he's extremely clinical.
Okay, let's talk about a situation that happened, and then let me
one
set this
more
scene.
thing. One more thing. Well, 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, like Marco was saying, any team, AC Milan, Inter, Roma, Lazio, when you go to the Alliance Stadium, you're not going to come up with a positive results. The best that can happen to you, you come up with a tie. But you lose most of the time. 99% of the time, you're going to lose. So Juventus always scraps or comes up with a win. Whether it's going to be a big win or whether it's going to be a 1-0, you always win when you always lose when you go play Juventus on their home. Right now, it's not a given anymore. Yeah. Right now, everybody goes over there and say, hey, we playing our game. Then we'll see what happens at the end. Okay? So this, quote unquote, this taboo that you're going to Torino, you're going to lose, and at the best, you come up with a point, it's over. So
That's very true. I agree.
I'm telling you,
It's not
this is
what
a
it
lot
once
of
was.
teams that feel the same way.
It's not what it once was.
I'm sure that there's a lot of these young teams. You look at like an Empoli or anyone like Verona. They look and they say, hey, we could go there and we could actually grab a point.
It's not impossible.
So let's talk about the situation that happened, because they were losing 2-0. Juventus came back 2-2. It was a crazy ending towards to the match, really crazy. They scored that 2-1 in like the 91st minute, and then in the 95th minute, Milik scores off of a header. Ball goes into the back of the net. Everyone loses their mind. 3-2, Juventus win. Even the official Serie A account tweeted Juventus won the game. All this stuff. It was all done, right? And then in the end, the goal gets taken away. It's actually laughable how crazy this is. The goal gets taken away because of Bonucci being the goal gets taken.
So much fun. Please don't ask me anymore about this game here, please.
The goal gets taken away because of Bonucci being in an offside position on the goal. So, number one, first things first. When the goal got taken away and I watched Bonucci, I understand what the rule says. For me, Bonucci made no impact, didn't affect the opponent at all, because the ball was going in no matter what. There's no way Sepe is ever saving that. Bonucci, onside or offsides, for me, it's not like he's standing right in front of the goalkeeper. He moves last second, and then the ball goes
But
in.
he made an attempt.
He made an attempt. That's a rule. Either way, the big problem, the referee goes to check the VAR system, the system that we have in place to avoid these sorts of mistakes. He goes for, I believe it was 8 seconds. It was the quickest. I mean, they take minutes for this VAR. I watched a game this weekend. What game took 3 minutes? Was it Inter game or maybe the Milan game? It took 3 minutes
Against Sampdoria.
for the referee to
Yeah.
check one call. This one he looked in an instant. Either way, what they're saying, what the referee association came out and saying is that the image, which would have shown that Bonucci was onside because Candreva was in the far corner by the corner kick, he was keeping everyone onside by 50 centimeters, I believe was the distance that he kept everyone on. They did not, the VAR system did not have it available to them. The craziest part is Sky Italia, broadcasters in Italy, had an image because they have their own cameras. They were able to see it, but the Allianz Stadium, the most advanced stadium in Italy, didn't have the cameras and they were not fed to the VAR. It was obviously a mistake.
And we have a leftover camera here. We can give it to them.
And even Terrace went on. He said this is the worst mistake in VAR since VAR was introduced into the game. What a total disaster from the system, because goals like this you usually expect them not to happen. And honestly, this season I feel like we've been seeing a lot of mistakes with the VAR. You think so?
Too many mistakes. I mean, especially when the goal was counted for, right? And then you take it away. It's you can't have that. I mean, in VAR, it's supposed to be an instrument to help to find the right call, and then you actually deliberately take away a goal because of your inability to scan the field or wherever the case might be, have a camera located across the field where you don't think that's so hard, right? Where the offsides are going to occur? They're going to occur in that last third. How do you not have cameras set up to see if there's an offside?
We have an extra camera over here.
We should let them have it.
We'll donate them.
Nick,
We'll donate.
Nick can do that part time.
We have an extra camera, right?
Our cameraman behind the scenes. He can go help call the VAR.
So go ahead, Pete.
So that is the frustrating part, and no matter what,
Frustrating for you, not for
I'm
me.
saying
I was having fun.
Your allegiances have to be put aside because what VAR is meant for is to get the call right. Anytime that there's a miscalled or whatever, a bad call using VAR, that does not help the game, and it does not serve a purpose in the game. So we really have to identify, as FIFA or as sporting fans, soccer fans, football fans, calcio fans, what is VAR supposed to be? What do we want? Because to really check every little foul and every little thing, and if his nose is a little bit big, if it's Ibrahimovic or Giroud is offside with his nose, like
don't say that. That's discriminating.
It's all right. I'm in the same category.
I'm not that far.
Listen to me. Okay, let me just pick up on this.
But besides that, like those things are so like it's not even fair for the game, like the enjoyment of the game and the ability to have the ref make his calls. That being said, Champions League, I think they've created this new semi-automated. Would that have been able to detect?
It's in place already right now.
No, only in Champions League.
That's what I'm saying.
Only in Champions League. Only in Champions League. So
they're
we're still in this hiccup phase where we're still trying to figure out the VAR. So let's not tarnish VAR. Also, I the same way that I said that we have to reimagine or really come down and understand what we want out of this VAR. We also cannot tarnish VAR because I think they've made a lot of improvements, right, to the calls where maybe in the past penalties or this or that would have been called, where VAR has come in and given an assistance to the ref.
Let me just say the way I saw the stuff here. First of all, I was watching the game, and me and Manolas, while Manolas over here was watching the basketball and on and off and following. But the enjoyment of watching that game was, I had 3 different points to make. First of all, the way Allegri was celebrating when he thought that Juventus had the game won, it was worse than winning the World Cup. This guy, I think he must be taking a lot of sleeping pills because he's under so many. Let me tell you something. The guy's under a lot of pressure to win, to put points on the board. So the way he's celebrating on a potential win against Salernitana.
It's 95th minute.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
get it
matter.
out,
You are in Torino. You're supposed to win.
What was he gonna say?
Number one,
it's terrible.
I feel bad for Cuadrado that after the fact they got thrown out for protesting and all the stuff. Milik is one of my best friends. What he does, he scores the goals.
It's so stupid.
He takes the freaking shirt. He forgets that he had a yellow card and he gets the second yellow, so it's a red.
So bad.
So I mean, how worse can you make it?
It's
Me
true.
and Mike, we got a message from Ludo. I couldn't stop laughing, so I'm not gonna say that, but I was laughing my brain off. But Juventus really got the short end of the stick. I mean, they lost their mind. That shows that this is a team under a lot of pressure to win the game. Not any game, every game. So kudos to VAR that the first time wronged the Juventus, because many other teams they got wronged. So once in a while it's Juventus' turn. Okay, that's all. Sorry.
Nah, we don't want.
I know VAR was
VAR.
wrong. I admit it was wrong, but I feel good about it.
Oh, you're crazy.
Sorry.
You're crazy.
I just want to make it that Antonio's opinions do not reflect all of our opinions. We would like VAR to always, and the referees to always make
Of course.
correct call.
You know that I'm rubbing it in.
Mike, anything else to add?
I mean, for the most part, no. I just thought it was a classic Juve comeback. We've seen it so many times, so I wasn't too surprised.
But not this classic Juve. That's Juve from 6
on,
years
Mike.
ago.
Maybe I was a little nostalgic, but I didn't think it was that insane. And what's wrong with Allegri celebrating 95th minute? I think everyone would celebrate
But
that.
the way he was
3 goals
celebrating-
in the second half. That's big. Yeah, they should have played much better, and they shouldn't be struggling against a team like Salernitana and in Torino. But things happen. VAR got it wrong, but we hope for it to be better in the future. And it's been improving over the years, so I'm sure they'll perfect
mistake.
it.
Big
mistake
mistake
from
for this
Juve.
time.
Allegri's gotta either fix his team or start packing his bags because
So-
it's not looking good
So
for
the
him.
thing is, obviously the VAR mistake, it was wrong. It was 100% wrong. There's two separate things. You could be mad at that, but also let's remember and focus that Juventus was losing 2-0 to
Yeah, they're playing
Salernitana,
bad.
and it's not that the VAR every single time has screwed Juventus over. It's that you need to be able to play better to put yourselves in position to not be losing like that against Salernitana, and that a draw, a 2-2 in Torino. Let's not let the whole VAR take away and forget at how bad Juventus
It was
looked
2-1
in this
until
match.
the 91st minute.
Yes. That my point is that yes, you could be mad that the VAR made a mistake, and you're right, but don't let that let you forget at how bad Juventus looked for the 90 minutes when they were
Don't
losing
let
the
the
game.
scapegoat.
Roma won today against Empoli. My gosh,
Dybala.
This guy is
Magic.
phenomenal.
love
Dybala is unbelievable. Him and Tammy Abraham both got on the score sheet. I will say that Tammy was not playing good the entire game. I was actually asking myself what's going wrong with Tammy, and then of course, classic. That's when he ends up scoring.
That
Wasn't
ball.
great from Roma as well because Pellegrini missed a penalty kick, which no way should Pellegrini have been taking that. I thought for sure Dybala would have stepped up. And great job from Roma to be able to bounce back. Obviously, they had to slip up in Europa League, which was bad, and their last game against Udinese, where they got manhandled
Hammered.
4-0. But for Roma, they needed to win. It was 1-1 at one point with Empoli, but they got the job done, and that's all they'll care about.
Let me just say kudos to Mourinho. Mourinho is putting the team the right way on the field. So it was away. He came up with the 3
Do
points.
you think he put the team in the right place?
Yeah, I think he did.
I don't like Matic, Cristante, and center midfield together.
Listen, at the
They're
end of
both,
the day,
they're both too like
at the end-
defensive.
yeah, but Marco, at the end of the day,
You need
when
somebody creative.
They gotta
Dybala
bring-
picks up the slack for from a lot of people, and is the creator.
But you said that he put the right team. For me,
Well,
Matic
who else
and-
does he have?
They have
Matic
Camara.
and-
They just got from Olympiacos. He's a little bit more creative, and I think.
I mean, I want to say I like Pellegrini back where he was in the beginning
Yeah?
of the season.
Okay.
I do.
All right,
I
then
do. And then more attack it. Play El Shaarawy when Zaniolo. We know he's on the bench. Play him in that position. Just for me, they're too similar. Like Cristante and Matic,
They cancel
they're both
each
like
other out.
defensive
they overlapping
midfielders.
each other. They are stepping on each other's feet. You are saying, right?
Yeah, and Roma already defends with 5 because they have, it's a
wing
3-5-2,
backs.
the 3-4-2-1, whatever.
But you know what? Sometimes you need a little
Then,
luck.
but then they're defending a little bit too much, in my opinion.
Empoli hit the post. I mean, it could have gone either way. But again, I want to just have one last point to make about VAR. Kidding on the side that was joking before. But one thing that is still not right about the VAR. When you make a decision, have the mic yourself up, the ref, and say, hey, by the way, this is the call. It's offside. It's a handball.
What's this have to do with Roma?
He has to do it. He has to do it because VAR, when you are a referee and you have 80,000 people guessing why was the goal taken away, you want to know the reasons.
We got you. You've brought this up in the past.
The same way that you do it on football, just mic the ref up and say, hey, this is the call. I was called by the VAR. The VAR shows that the guy is on offside or is on an active offside or it was whatever. It's a handball.
We got you.
So.
We've said this like
And we have to repeat it.
75
We have to
times
repeat
on
it.
our podcast. Roma defensively need to do better because for me, Celik was not paying attention on just too sloppy defensive when that ball came in. Was it Bandini?
Bandinelli.
Bandinelli. He scored the header. I mean, that sort of ball should not get through, and they shouldn't be able to score on that. So just defensively, same kind of things that we're worried about with Roma, kind of just pull through.
I think Roma gotta convert to a 4-man backline. There's too much space with back 3, and I feel like they're not made. They're not made for a back. Mourinho's trying to do something that I don't think the center backs are good enough to do. I think they have got to play with 2 fullbacks, 2 center backs, or 2 better center backs. Take Ibanez.
What's the rest of the
and
formation then? A 4 what?
It could be a 4-2-3-1 formation.
4-2-3.
It kind of fits already. It just changes the back line because I feel like that's their biggest weakness.
What are the 2?
Center backs, it's gonna be Smalling and Mancini.
He's
Four,
asking.
two, four,
He said, "Who are the two
midfielders.
two center
It will be
midfielders?"
when healthy. It will be Wijnaldum and it will be.
Yeah, but Wijnaldum we're not going to see for
the season,
long time.
almost. So what are those two?
I saw Kamara Olympiacos. He's pretty good. I'd play him and I'd try. He is pretty
doesn't
good.
count into the
He's a
equation.
player at Roma.
Oh,
And I
right.
think he's a pretty good midfielder. I play him and I'll try to put Matic and see how they do together. But then again, they have some options over there, and of course their attack is good enough. I just feel like their defense.
And the
needs
thing is,
some
I
help.
feel like they have to play 3 in the back just because like their defense is not good enough to play 4. You know, like their center backs, I feel like they just overload the back because individually they'll make too many mistakes. You know, like between Ibanez, Spalling, and Mancini.
But I just feel like
So I
the
feel like they're kinda
counterattacks
caught.
with a 3-man backline, they're always caught off guard, and I feel like there's always a possibility for the opponent to score like that. They're more susceptible to conceding. Personally, that's how I see it.
Anything, Pete? Anything about Roma?
With
On
Roma,
your mind
I
last
mean,
week or so?
like we said, the defense has been the question mark. Mourinho is a proven leader, as I said before. So he knows what he needs to do with the team, but also at the same time, you know, you have to have the caliber of players to be able to reach a certain level. And you know, like I said, the Udinese game was a shock. You know, even this was a Europa League. They didn't manage to win their first game, but it's 1 week. We cannot make it a drama. We have to see on the long stretch of a season, and with players also coming back from injuries, you know, we're gonna see this Roma attack really, really be dangerous. The defense needs a little tweaking. You know, the 3-man, 4-man, sure, there's different question marks. The only difference I would say is that on a 3-man, you know, when a defender makes a mistake, you see it more often because there's much more space to cover then. So in a 4, potentially, there's less space, maybe less mistakes,
Yeah.
but
And
still
then they have
comes
3
down to...
guys in the center that could help make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it still comes down to how you want to set up on the field. But Roma is in a good place. I don't think anybody was expecting them to win the Scudetto. They're expected to be in the top 4.
My dad had them winning the Scudetto.
And listen,
He had them not this
Really?
year. He
in the
said AC
beginning.
Milan.
In the beginning. No,
changed
no.
it. Oh, yeah?
He did. He
listen,
changed it.
Roma can surprise, but I just think that defense is not made to
to
be
par.
able to win the Scudetto.
I
Let's
have
talk
them at
about the
number
other
2.
team,
I have them at 2.
Lazio. They
I love
did well in Europe. Lazio did really well. Thankfully for them and for Napoli for making us both happy, for making us all happy. And then they won 2-0 against Hellas Verona. Ciro Immobile got on the score sheet. Luis Alberto, what a goal! And same old with them. I mean, Milinkovic-Savic and Immobile is like the most deadly duo. We saw a stat. I think we posted it today. Since the last 7 years, over the last 7 years, there's no duo who has more assists and goals with each other.
23
than the two of them.
assists.
Listen, this is exactly what I've been saying about Sarri. His second year is what really should be what you should really judge him on, right? This team, the way that they play, is Sarri. Is Sarri ball, the style. He has the players to do it. And what I like more importantly is their defense has been amazing. Provedel, great acquisition.
He's such a good keeper.
He's
though.
a great keeper.
He really is.
And like I said, a true definition of a good team is when you're letting up less goals. And then within Sarri's ability to play, it's a perfect recipe.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to go on to win the Scudetto, but they're a very,
They're
very good team and can challenge anybody.
Provedecchio, baby.
Pratic. No, I almost said Platic.
Piontek?
No, Patrick.
Oh,
Patrick, man, in defense, the guy has stepped up. I've been watching him all season, and he has looked really good. Overall, I totally agree. That was my point with Lazio. It's just defensively, they look so much better than they did last year. The midfield, like finally getting Luis Alberto back into the mix makes me so happy just because he's a player I love to see. I think third in the list of that Milinkovic-Savic was actually him and Ciro Immobile, which just goes to show you the amount of options that Lazio actually have in creating chances, in
He doesn't even
converting
start
chances.
Luis Alberto.
But Luis Alberto is a player that when he's on, I mean, the goal that he scored, the little roll, I mean, he's what, for me personally, those type of players are the reason why they make you want to go outside and play. Like, they want you to kick a ball. You want to mimic all the little movements that he does just because technically he's so gifted on the ball.
As I make an observation as an Inter fan, and you look at Milan, Lazio, even Juventus, all these teams have a player that will beat you on the dribble. Who does that? Who on Inter represents that player? There is no one. And we had
Lautaro can do
Perisic.
that. Lautaro can do that.
Lautaro's not gonna. He can. You're right. Like he can beat the guy on the
Right.
first touch, but he's not gonna blaze past people.
Yeah, not
and on
blaze.
the Inter team, we have no one that can take the ball and dribble past 2-3 guys.
Maybe
Napoli has it.
Barella. Maybe
only-
Barella.
if only-
Barella's not that
Barella.
type of
If
player.
only you took the
So
free transfer of Paulo Dybala.
Dybala was a player that should have been
The guy's
taken,
regretting everything.
especially after releasing
Too late,
Sanchez.
Paisan.
Now at the end, you get rid of Sanchez, and you don't have that player.
Too late.
From
Hero to
To
zero.
zero.
That's right.
You went from hero to zero. I'll tell you what. You guys went from hero to zero. You giving up on Dybala? You gotta be kidding me. You have the only talent on Juventus
only
when you
talent.
can build the team around, and you just give up on him. How the hell you do that? Who's in charge of Juventus?
You know
Who
what-
is in charge?
You know what the funniest part about Dybala leaving is? There are two reasons why they got rid of Dybala. He's injury prone. Then the players that they signed to replace him, like you look at Pogba and Di Maria, who they brought in, they've had more injuries than him. And then the second thing is because he didn't fit the system. But what system does Juventus have to play?
And he's pricey. But
No, but
the
he went for a
salary
free
was-
transfer.
I know, but his salary was.
Yeah,
You
what was he
sold
making, 6 million?
talent, creativity, and goals and assist. All 5 of those things.
There's 4 things.
Yeah, there was 4.
Talent, creativity,
He's gonna add another
brain.
one. Look like brain.
You name it. You name it. 5.
Even when he's wrong, he's right.
you're wild.
I'm telling you. I don't know. I think Agnelli needs to go on vacation for a little while.
You guys, we got to give credit also to the rest of Serie A. What's impressed me so much has been Udinese. Udinese with Sotil. Again, another team that when Antonio talks about coaching being the real positive of Italy, of Serie A, I totally agree with that. This guy Sotil, we knew him because of Ascoli. We had our friend Nicola Cirincione who worked with him, who spoke with him, who told us before the season that for him, Sotil is one of the next best Italian coaches, up and coming. He went in with the right ideas. At Ascoli, they were predicted last year to be battling for relegation, battling for Serie C. They ended up going to the first round of playoffs to make Serie A. They went out, but their team was a limit. Now he's taken over this Udinese side, who lost Molina, who lost who's other player that Udinese lost. They lost another player.
To Atletico, what's his name?
But that was
De
before
Paul.
the
That was the year
last
before.
No.
That was the year before.
Now there's another player that they lost that I really liked, but for the most part, regardless of that, stayed the same, right? Pretty much the same team that Cioffi and Gotti had the year before, where they went through these 2 coaches, and he's got this team. They are difficult to play against. We saw what they did against Roma. We saw what they did against Fiorentina.
Even Milan.
They won 4 games in a row, and they're just hard to play against.
But they're also a free-flowing team. Because even when you had a Gotti and you had a Cioffi, that team was just defensive unit built on that. Score on the counterattack. You'll win your games. You'll tie games. And just enough to make. This team is actually playing, and you enjoy watching them.
You know what I was thinking? It's because Udoji,
He's next season he goes.
He missed him the first game, right? He missed him the game against Milan. Against who?
Milan. Yeah. the
Was it
first
Milan?
game. Yeah.
Was it
yeah,
Milan?
Yeah, yeah.
Where on the left wing he had to play. He had to play Perez also one time on the right side, where Perez is naturally a center back. So again, we speak about so many of these big teams, these big coaches, when they miss one player or they miss 2 players, and then they have no plan B.
It's
I
the
like that this
system.
guy has
They have
had
a system.
He has a plan B. He's had to switch players in and out. You don't hear him complaining. He's still getting results. He's overachieving compared to the guys that he has at his disposal. And he's still not been able to put his real touch on the team yet because he's just got there. It's his first year in Serie A. And just a little bit of credit to the guys outside because Udinese is doing a great job. And for a club like Udinese, I always remember years ago when they were battling, to go to Champions League. They had Handanovic in their
They
net.
had Di Natale.
They had Di Natale,
Di Natale.
Alexis Sanchez. That was a beautiful Udinese. They had that history. And I think that hopefully they could get back to being able to challenge in the same way. Anything else we missed?
I
don't think we missed anything besides maybe Bologna.
Yeah, Bologna
Mihajlovic
Fiorentina.
was,
Bologna Fiorentina.
No, but
They
Mihajlovic
have
was
Mota,
sacked.
Mota's,
Thiago Motta has
is
come
their new
back.
coach. That's interesting
Bologna
because
won.
he kept them up from Spezia last season, Thiago Motta. So he did his job. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they do. They just came off with a big win.
Mihajlovic, for me, I know people were mad that he got sacked, but I mean his team played terrible.
I feel like his ideas were running out.
His team played terrible football.
Sometimes
I
it's
love
too
the
long.
story.
The same person is not always.
I love his battle,
change.
you know, against his illness. I love all of that. I love how he was still able to coach. He deserves so much respect because I'm sure there's few coaches in the world that will be able to do practices over Zoom, you know, going to the hospital the next day, and he had the team around him. Respect, but at the same time, his team needs to play better. His team needed to play better. And look at they scored 7 goals this year. 6 of them have come from Marko Arnautovic. 85% of their goals are coming from one player.
Yeah.
For me, that's not the sign of a really good team. No. You need to have better balance, better approach, because Arnautovic goes out. Who's going to be able to score goals for Bologna?
You can't rely on one player.
It's a dependent on one player.
And they just they just beat Fiorentina too at home, which was a pretty big result considering Fiorentina were favorites for that game.
Very impressive result, and we see Fiorentina how they play versus Juventus. We've seen them how they play, very, very tough. The only thing I can say is maybe the Conference League game on Thursday does affect this team that doesn't have the depth in their roster.
We're gonna do this real quick before we end. I'm going to give you a question. You have to give an answer and just give 1 sentence or 2 sentences to back it up, but very quick. All right?
You got it.
Anto, you here?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, quick. Who should start for Inter? Onana or Handanovic?
I like Onana. It's time to give the reign to the new goalkeeper.
I have Onana as well. I think that he's the future of the club. I like the competition that Inzaghi's put them against each other because I think you saw better Handanovic once he was benched. But for me, build for the future, give Onana a shot because I think he's got it.
Yeah, it's obvious. Onana's got to start. And he's not a statue with those shots. So young, fresh blood. It's time for him to go.
I would say definitely Onana, but Handanovic is the captain of the team right now.
Change it up. Change a captain.
If Juventus would not win against Benfica in the Champions League,
So
they're at home, would you sack Max Allegri? There's Tuchel potentially available, which a lot of fans are talking about. Would you sack Allegri and take the opportunity to take Tuchel?
Yes, I think Tuchel is a qualified coach, and you see his style of play. Allegri makes too much money, but that's the only thing.
He's on $9 million a year. He has like a $40 million total package. So Juventus would have to bite the bullet. The one pushback to that I would say is Juventus is not a club that really likes to sack their coaches. Mid-season, you never see that. The only way is if they're very far off of 4th place, then they would. But either way, besides that, I wouldn't sack Allegri for Tuchel. I don't think that Tuchel will really improve the team more than Allegri can already do. He's not the type of coach that I would say you have to sack Allegri 6 games into a season for. Even if they do lose to Benfica, which would be a real disaster and nightmare if they don't win that game.
I wouldn't even have signed him, so I would have sacked him before the season started, to be honest with you. I don't think his ideology is what Juventus need to go forward. His ideology is someone that doesn't have the qualified players to do something good, and they have very good players when everyone's healthy, and he still doesn't play up to par with them. So I would think Tuchel is a much better manager in terms of his tactics and how he plays overall. I take him day and night. And not just Tuchel. I'm sure there's other options that I'm not thinking of right now. That would be an upgrade to Allegri.
I will definitely sack Allegri immediately because we're not. Listen to me. We're not at the mid-season. We are at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, there's still
I
time.
think if you send a signal to the team, you bring a new coach inside. Not that I'm very high on Tuchel, but Tuchel can just say, could just send a message and say, "Hey, I'm the new coach. I'm in charge. The style is changing. We're gonna go from the wait and see to
Playing.
I will say definitely sack Allegri.
Last question.
If you lose against Benfica, immediately. Don't wait
I do it now.
30 seconds. Immediately. Just pick up the phone and say, just
Before the final
clear
whistle.
the locker room.
All right, if I'm Agnelli,
Yeah.
if I'm Allegri and you're Agnelli and we're making the call, how would it go?
So if you're Allegri
yeah.
and I'm Agnelli,
Yeah.
I said, Massimiliano, sono il tuo capo. I say, hey, ciao, come stai? Ripulisci il tuo gabinetto.
Empty your
Just,
locker.
Ma perché?
Perché non vale un cazzo. That's it.
You always take things to the next level. Last question, Peter.
Yes.
First 6 games, who has been the best player in Serie A? Your favorite?
My favorite?
Now.
No, I mean Leao Guevara, but I would say Guevara because of the expectation. Nobody knew who this guy was, and then just to see him come over there and do what he's done, I think it takes, like you say, cojones, right? What do you say? It takes a lot to be able to take that spot in Napoli, show what you got, and just like he's an all-around player. You know, he still has a lot to prove, but for me, in those 6 games, very, very impressive. Leao comes as a second by all means, but I know him already. That's my only criticism.
For me, it would be Kvaratskhelia as well. I think that he's brought a fantasy to the team, to the league. He's just one of those players, kind of like Federico Chiesa, who I would kind of compare him to, in the sense that like he tries to dribble, he tries to go forward, and personally, those are the type of players that I love. They go direct. They're not scared to take a shot. They're not scared to dribble their man, and he did it against Liverpool in the Champions League. For me, Kvaratskhelia.
I mean, I was gonna say that, but I'll change it up and I'll say Arnautovic. He had a huge. He was close to going to Manchester United. He didn't go. Seemed like it wasn't going his way, and now he's Capocannoniere, showing everyone, yo, I'm that guy. I could still score those goals, and he's taking the league by storm. So good for him.
I would say definitely Leao because he doesn't try to dribble. He just dribbles the people and he scores. So Leao is still on the top, and he's been known to be very difficult to guard. And I think he's going to be showing later on that he's not afraid to make a mistake. He's not afraid to do dribble, and he's going to score a lot more goals.
You guys brought a reminder. I know I said last one, but I saw this tweet from Matteo Bonetti where he said, start one, bench one, sell one. Kvara, Leao, Chiesa.
Oh, what are the ages on those bad boys?
Ooh, start one, sell one, and bench one.
Start Kvara, bench Leao, sell Chiesa.
I agree with you.
Chiesa
Chiesa's too injury prone.
But Leao, you'll probably get the most money from.
Why you
Yeah,
say
but
that?
Leao is
Because
the guy
Leao right now at Chelsea, who's going to buy Chiesa when he's injured?
Sell, you're right. I
Leao,
agree.
you'll get 120
I agree.
million for.
Sell Leao, even 100. I'll take 100 for Leao. Don't get me wrong. I would sell Leao, $100 million. You can buy yourself some good.
And then
good
who do you
chips.
start?
I'm gonna start
Chips.
Kvara.
And bench Chiesa.
Yes.
I think we said the same. Yeah, I agree.
No, you said his. You said Peter.
Yeah, what did you say? You
No,
said
Peter
start
said.
Kvara.
Peter said no. Peter
he didn't
said
say sells. Who's yours? Just go with yours.
I'd start Kvara, bench Leao, and sell Chiesa.
Okay.
Isn't that what you
Yeah, it's
said?
different.
That's what I
Yeah,
said.
it's his. That wasn't
That's what
ours.
you said. I said
No, it wasn't
Peter.
ours.
I said sell Leao.
said the same with
I said
Peter.
sell Leao.
Sell Leao. Yeah, me too. Actually, I'll start Chiesa though. I'll bench Kvara. Put him on the bench.
Big mistake.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys
Hey,
don't
bottom line,
have to
guys,
change.
let's finish up this podcast. Bottom line, AC Milan first place, Napoli first place.
And no
What?
Leao against Napoli, by the way.
It's okay. So it's neither is Ozyman too. So don't worry about it. We're not crying that Leao is not playing.
We'll see.
So don't worry
We'll
about
see
it, Mike.
Saturday.
Mike, you look worried to me, do you?
I don't
Okay,
look
so
worried. Why don't I look
It's a
worried?
three-way tie
So
in first
Atalanta,
place.
we haven't talked
Napoli,
about it.
Atalanta, and Milan.
Yeah.
okay.
And then Udinese and Roma are
Hold
1
your
point
horses,
behind.
Anto.
So maybe
Sorry,
it's the
yeah,
chance.
Atalanta, you're
It's
right.
the chance for Inter to come up to first place if the AC Milan and Napoli they tie.
We don't want it
and
yet.
You guys win.
We don't want it yet.
If you guys
You
win
take
and
it.
AC
You
Milan
guys
and
win.
Napoli they tie, you are on first place. So you can just lay
if-
off for Inzaghi. Okay, he's a nice kid. Just leave him alone.
Would Atalanta? Did we all under credit?
Yes.
Atalanta?
I think they find themselves a little lucky. I think Atalanta been having the points that they have right now. They're kind of lucky because they should have lost against AC Milan and they should have lost another game.
Should have.
Real is going to
Should've,
catch up to them, I think.
Yeah.
They're doing good now, but I
Yeah.
think
They're not gonna.
they're not going to stay. They're not going to
to.
stay.
Coop
It'll be
Miners
nice
is
if
doing
they-
amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Coop Miners. If he didn't get that goal disallowed, he would have been tied for a top goal scorer, right?
I mean, he's
Oh, no, he
no,
would have still
no,
been.
no.
He still
He'd be
would've
one
been- Yeah,
behind.
because Arnautovic didn't score
He's
at that
2
time.
goals behind Arnautovic.
2 goals. But for a center
no,
midfielder,
it's very good.
that's,
Very
that's
good.
freaking
He's doing
amazing.
incredible.
I think that their lack of needing to play in Europe is definitely going to
It helps them for sure.
It's gonna
'cause
help them.
Fresh legs.
because their roster is not a deep roster. So I think in that sense it'll help them. And
For sure.
I think that what we took for granted is this feeling of the lack of magic. I think that Gasperini still got that fire within the squad.
He wants
which
to
is-
prove people
which is
wrong.
dangerous. And guess what? Listen, as much as you guys might be mad, whatever, because of the competition, but when you look at the Serie A table and you think about who's gonna win, and you think about who's gonna finish in the top 4, I swear to you, I think if you flipped a coin, you'd have the same amount of chances as taking a guess on who's gonna win. It is that competitive.
It changes every week for us.
This year,
It is competitive, but AC Milan is going to win. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint you, but it's going to happen again.
what I'll say is that I really could imagine a few different teams winning, and I could also see a scenario where multiple teams can finish in the top 4 that I didn't predict going into this
For
season.
sure. That's on.
I don't-
Kudos to Serie A, guys. Keep watching Serie A, right?
Did you
That's
just learn
it.
that word, kudos, by the way?
Yeah.
You said like 5 times this
No, I
podcast.
said it from hero to zero 5 times.
And kudos. I feel like you
Kudos,
just
yeah,
learned
alright.
about
Say
that.
kudos?
Yeah,
He
I
said
do.
like 5 times. Like, this guy must have learned
From
that
time
just
to time,
now.
I pick words from the radio, from people that I listen, or from the Gazzetta. I like that.
Kudos.
I guess that isn't Italian.
I don't think they say
Yeah,
kudos.
it's not an Italian, but it is what it is.
That's
All
what
right,
the Greek
guys.
word.
As always, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao.